Hello and welcome to a special series of Block Talk, which we're calling Blocktalk Explores. These quick listen episodes will be split by topic area, as our guests, who are all industry leaders in Scotland, will be discussing three specific industry topics. Topic number one is education and awareness of the industry and what property factors do. Number two is recruitment within the industry and any challenges that they see. And the third one is customer care. We'll release 2 episodes in week 1, and the third will be released the following week. We hope you enjoy the series, and as always, it would be great to hear your feedback. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Blocktalk Podcast. We're doing Blocktalk Explores with me, Brian Welsh. In this episode, we're talking to Callum Bruce about education awareness. Callum is an industry leader in Scotland and he was appointed director at MacFie Co in 2022, having joined the firm in May 2018. He previously worked as assistant property manager for approximately 2 years as well. Callum, thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, yourself?
Yes, I'm very well. I'm very well. I love doing podcasts, actually. This series is really interesting, actually, because we're getting a great insight into how different property factors think about education, recruitment, and customer service. So I will crack on with my first question. So first section is about education. So what is MacFie Co doing to raise awareness of what property factors' role is and what the flat owner stroke landlord's role is?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's obviously you're sometimes fighting a bit of a battle against people who have got preconceptions of what we do as an industry. I guess not even just our firm, but also you've got first-time buyers who rightfully are naive to what happens in the world of factoring and communal living. I think we try to tackle that head on right from the very, very outset with new owners you get it frequently. You know, I don't know what you do, what's this money for, what do we do, and we have to explain it and try and educate. That's one at a time, so it is slow. But point of entry, writing to them, obviously trying to explain to them. It's usually a younger generation as well, I feel. It's usually that first-time buyer. So you can usually build quite a rapport with them quite quickly, I feel. And you can, set them on the right path, of who we are and what we can do and how we're here to help. We're not here to hinder. You may be paying us a fee, but we're here to work with you, not against you. We're not here to dictate. So usually that's something we can get across quite quickly. But like I say, that is in a small scale. There are organisations, as you've talked about many times out there, like Under One Roof. It's a great tool for us from an educational point of view internally, but it's also really good for external. So I do promote that to people. It's an easy website with a search box to just put the word in and find out what it means and who's responsible, and then come back to us or discuss with your co-owners as well. So it's a great tool. They're doing seminars, I know, for the public in multiple regions. So it's a great thing. And then I suppose we're having to do our own thing internally, trying to have all our managers and assistant managers appraised as to what needs to be known and when, and try and attack these kind of questions as soon as they come to us. That includes obviously internal training, but also they're doing, we've got 6 members of staff going through the IRPM qualification as well, just to best prepare us going forward, so that we're equipped to help owners who might have queries or just be completely unaware of who we are and what we can help with.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. So, yeah, I mean, it's something we hear all the time. I was chatting to someone the other day, I can't remember who it was actually, who was saying that, it was even a developer who was saying, you guys are getting speaking to a fact, you guys are getting a chunk of money for doing this. Look at your kind of estimated annual expenditure. And he's sitting there going, yeah, but our fee is like a tiny part of this, right?
Yeah.
What we actually do or charge to actually look after the property. So it's quite interesting. I actually have right in front of me today, I have a form I bought my son an investment flat, his first flat. He's in the army. And I bought him his first investment flat. And the factor is a client of ours, of CPL's. And I just got through this thing today. Or I picked it up from his flat and I forwarded it on to him. He's like, what's this? What I have to pay this money for?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's 20, never owned anything before, so the education piece just has to kind of live and breathe every day, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're all obviously obligated to provide our, T's and C's, and it can be very dry and a wee bit complex as well. And it goes into the worst case scenarios as well, of course, and you don't really want to dwell on that from an early entry point, so being able to put across, concise and clear ways of how we can help them, and the best relationship is in a weird way that we don't necessarily have to talk to each other that often, that's the ideal, I'm sure, but when you do need us, this is how we're here to help. So yeah, as you say, I don't know who that is you're referring to, but you're putting across, we're all doing it, it's an industry-wide effort. It's not just a company by company thing, so we'll all be singing off a similar hymn sheet, and it's important, it really is.
So you mentioned industry. Do you think the industry should be doing more? And if so, what?
It's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, resources being available through, under one roof, obviously, are doing their best. It's a great tool and it's something that everybody can use. I joined PMES a couple of years ago and I was appointed to the council this year. And I'm part of the educating and training. So it's new to me, but it's nice to see that there's a cross organization, pathway. We're all trying to, do the same thing. We're all trying to get to the same place. And, things such as educating our staff across the different firms with seminars and resources and IRPM. PMES are doing a lot of that, but then also outside to third parties, counsellors and, council areas and just trying solicitors, through the legal side of things. Is that something that they can help with? They probably don't feel obligated to be fair, but PMES is obviously, it's a short time I've been part of that committee, but they are, actively pushing in, different lines from customer service all the way up to, how you educate people and what we do and who we are, and perceptions. That's a big one. Perceptions, yeah.
No, I get it. And yeah, you're right. Having just gone through that kind of purchase process of a flat for a kind of okay, I'm not a first time buyer, but he is, and I kind of dealt with a lot of it from him. I'm not sure if anybody in that process would have mentioned the word factor if I hadn't asked.
No.
Yeah. And, but at the end of the day, someone who's selling a property doesn't want to put anything negative on the table to stop someone buying. Do you know what I mean? But there's got to be some sort of onus on people to talk about.
I mean, the home report even is it's a tiny, the questionnaire, I think they call it now, part of the home report. There is literally a checkbox of, is there a factor? And that's it. There's no further discussion or, anything other than that. Obviously, as factors, we put sales letters across the solicitors who then supposedly are discussing that with our clients. But we also get, I wasn't aware of this and how much do we have to pay a month? And a lot of this information is provided.
Yeah.
At point of sale, so we are regurgitating it for a second time as part of that initial chat with people, which is fine, but the information is getting out there. I don't know if there could be some kind of partnership with, a legal body where, it becomes, there's a standardized letter that comes to us as a point of sale. Yeah. Could there be a standardized frequently asked questions, like who we are, what we could do? A bit of explanation as to the boundaries of your property even. Sometimes we have things like that. So, yeah, I think it's something that we need to look at widespread across the nation. It's not just factors necessarily. Lawyers and solicitors and local councils and whatnot as well. It's maybe something we need to try and expand out. And I think that's what PMES are trying to do, in fairness. Yeah, I do think that.
Yeah. I mean, that would be good. And you need somebody that represents the market to be able to do that, because individually it's a very difficult thing to do.
Very. I mean, it is what person by person, block by block, development by development, which some developments it's hundreds of people, obviously, and it's a big hit from one document. But, you know, if it's a sale, you know, like your son, for example, you know, he's been educated in that way. Obviously, you've passed it along, but it's just one person, you know, and it's going to take an awful long time to turn over the entire country and have that document go to everybody. So it'll take a long time.
You're right. I mean, I think at the last count was there 700,000 factored properties in Scotland or something like that. Somewhere around that region. And I think that was kind of split 50-50 maybe, or maybe it's not 50-50, but maybe slightly more on the private sector to public. That's still a shed load of people.
Yeah, I mean, part of my role at MacFie is new business as well. So I do obviously meet with people who are wanting to move from one factor to another, but also a huge number of people who are unfactored, and they are having issues usually, and they're looking for some kind of assistance. But you do, you know, that I like to try and get face to face with this group of people. You know, it's just easier to try and convey who we are and what we can do. So there's another example of people who have been potentially living in a property for 50 years, and they just don't know, like, what is a float? How do we do this? What do we have to do? And, you know, but my friend said this about this factor, and there's a misconception over we're all under the same umbrella, but we're all the same. You're all the bad guy, and it's trying to tell them, you know, we're like, you know, we can work together here, and it is difficult, but it's something that comes up a lot.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yes. Okay, right. I was going to ask the question if you think you've got any other solutions, but I think we've covered that anyway. But yeah, I mean, I do get it, because, you know, there's that misconception, I guess, around factors, and there's negativity and all these sort of things. You know, I mean, you know, every time I look at my bank statement and my Netflix or Spotify bill goes out, I'm like, hey, you know, I watched Succession's on Now TV, actually, you know what I mean. I watched this last month. That's all right. I listen to Spotify every day, but, you know, your factors bill goes out, it's an entirely different kind of emotion, isn't it? So
yeah. I mean, there could be a misconception that we're only here to take money, you know, and I mean, a lot of firms won't take a cut of any works they're doing. They're here to, as I say, keep saying, work with you and work together to get a solution. It's a huge investment. You know, it will be most people's biggest investment in their life. So if they don't take it seriously and they don't have a factor that takes it seriously, then they're going to struggle and they're going to have problems, as we're seeing in some areas, and it's only getting worse. But if we can try and get everybody feeling that there is a uniformed way forward, that we're all trying to help each other, then it's definitely going to benefit the housing stock, never mind the individual owners. So as a future.
Good, excellent.